Yep. And of course, you know, it's your boy, Big Lee.
And you have the best one in the house. Your girl Drea.
So first, you know, like I said, we'd like to, you know, this is our first live on Facebook. We brought two guests because we had an interesting episode this week on gender roles with Paris Lauren. Paris Lauren was a lovely guest. She she really gives the people a lot to talk about. Like, you know,
Right.
her views is her views, you know, first, and there's no right or wrong on it, but she brings a conversation. I had people texting me, calling me, was like, "Yo, she really think like this?" like yeah, I mean that's how she feels, and that's fine. You know, do I agree with everything? No. Is some things nice? Like not having to clean would be pretty nice. But you know, but then there's other things, and what did you think about it, Dre?
Um, well, you already know we had a lot of disagreements because I'm definitely, I guess, new school with it. A lot of things that, as far as, catering to your man, like I cater to my man, but I'm not finna do everything and he just sits around and not do anything. No, that's not me. I feel like everything should be 50-50. And I don't feel like, oh, because it's 50-50, y'all are.
So you feel like you should be roommates?
That's according to her, it means your roommate. But according to me, I feel like once you get into a marriage, that's just how you need what you need to do to better your marriage.
Yep. So, Vicki, we'll start with you to give us your take on gender roles and how it plays within your life currently.
Okay, first I will say that I really enjoyed that last podcast that you guys had. I will say it's very thought-provoking. It really did strike a lot of conversation with me and my significant other. I'm in a very serious relationship right now, and we actually had quite a bit of a discussion about some of her views. With regard to gender roles, it's interesting because it really brought to light the fact that he and I don't really subscribe to gender roles for each other, although we can see how it can work for many people because it puts boundaries and puts things in certain buckets and makes things, delineates things really clearly for people in relationships. However, having that said, for us, we don't want that for our relationship because what we want is I guess, first and foremost, we're very spiritual people. So we really focus on our inner selves and our inner growth and our inner happiness and what really feeds us. And we really want to have a really deep connection with each other. And that involves a lot of communication and really getting to the core of our values and what makes us happy. So for us, we're trying to find that harmonious, perfect balance between us, which hasn't been achieved obviously yet, but it's something that we get more and more close to as our relationship grows. And so what that means is if I don't want to clean certain things and it doesn't make me happy to do that, I'm going to tell him and I'm going to say, I don't enjoy cleaning the bathrooms. And we had this conversation. I said, I don't want to clean the bathrooms. I hate it. It's disgusting to me. And he goes, you know what? I don't mind that, but I hate vacuuming. And I'm like, I'll vacuum. And so
I'd much rather vacuum.
Vacuum, right?
right? Hey, you know what? It works out for us. So
Man, hold on. Wait, is he scared of the vacuum?
I think he just doesn't like pushing the big heavy thing around. He'd rather sweep. I think for him, it's just better that way. I don't know, but you know what? It's fine. I'm cool. I'll do the vacuuming and he can clean the bathrooms. That's works out perfectly for us. But yeah, I mean, for us, it's like, what makes each of us happy in each of us, like our individual lives, and then how can we put that together? And that's kind of what we're trying to define for our roles for each other, is like very specific for each other of what makes us happy, instead of saying like the woman does this and the man does this. It's more like, Chad, this is what makes him happy and this is what he needs, and Vicki, this is what I need and this is what makes me happy, and how can we work on that together, so that we're really matching and meshing and energetically just high off of life, like all the time. How can we get to that place? And that's kind of how we see it, is that it's more about that connection, that communication, the balance, the being, the inner happiness, the inner peace, and not so much about who does this and who does this, and what the woman does, what the man does.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, it's one. It's every relationship is different, and like I had a friend tell me, he felt that the guest was limiting herself. I'm like, I don't know if she limited herself. That's just what she chose to do, and it works for her. I said it's like, because she don't want her man to do a certain thing. I said there's still roles in the house, because like you said, your significant other don't want to clean the bathroom. Most women still don't want to take the garbage out, and that's small, but that's still like, oh, that's a man's job. Why am I taking this nasty garbage out? Well, first, I put a lot of this nasty garbage in there, but you still expect the man to take it out. Trevor, I know you was one of the people that called me just off of the clips, with disagreeing. So tell us, like, your opinion of it, and how it works, within your relationship.
Yeah, well, for me, like you said, however you handle your relationship, your situation is your perspective, your prerogative. But I just felt like it was a little over extreme a bit. Like you said, as far as like someone not wanting to clean the bathroom. I'm not saying for you to go and put a title on something that says this is a man's job, this is a woman's job. Yeah, that is limiting yourself within a relationship. Because if you say, because I'm a man, I never have to cook, then you know what I'm saying. And that's for me, just like you said in the interview, there may be some times during the week that you may cook more than your wife does. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean she's less of a woman because you cook more.
That's during the weekends.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but I'm just saying that doesn't make you less of a man or make her less of a woman because you cooked more than her that week or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But for us to try to put the gender labels, and then in certain cases, I put it like this: we want the gender labels and roles in the household, but outside of it, we want the equality and everything else. You know what I'm saying? You scream, this is a man's job to do this and do this. It's a woman's job to clean, cook, this, that, and the third. But outside, I want equal this, equal that, equal this. Well, why can't it be equal in the household as well?
Right. I personally feel like, I guess like today, like it's not how it used to be. And not only that, like we women, we go out and work just as hard as these men do. So why? Because, like one of the things that were said was, oh, a man should not, step foot in the kitchen. A man should not clean up. A man should, why? I got a full-time job just like he do. Now I can understand some of the things that if I was a full-time mom, a housewife, I can understand that because I don't have no other responsibilities but to keep up my house and to watch the kids. But I got a full-time job. So with that being said, guess what? When we come home, we need to split everything up. It's not one person's job to do one thing.
Right. Yeah, with that, I feel like, at least for me, I believe that it's really important to fill your own cup up first before you can fill up anybody else's cup up. And the thing is, how are you going to know what fills up that other person's cup? Like, you should be most responsible for filling your cup up first, making sure that you got your stuff handled. and then you can focus on others. But I feel like in my personal opinion, if you focus on filling everyone else's cup up first, then yours gets depleted and they don't know how to fill up your cup. And then it just becomes like this, imbalance. And that's just kind of how I see it. So like in terms of the cooking, right? Chad is on a very strict diet because he's trying to focus on certain health goals for himself. And so he takes it upon himself to choose what foods he brings into his diet and how to cook it and really like embrace that aspect of himself for his health. For me to take that on for him and handle like his health and his cooking is like it's too much to ask from me, So that's kind of my thought on it. But that doesn't mean like I don't ever cook for him. Like he asks me to make something, or I'll make something and then he eats it and he's like, I really like this. Can you make more of it? I'll do it. But it's not my job. It's not my job to feed him, to make sure that he gets his health taken care of. It's his job because it's his body. So that's why he focuses first and foremost on providing for his own body with the cooking.
Now, and I'm gonna play like the devil's advocate a little bit with like Drea. Let's take your husband for example. Good man, but there are certain things he wouldn't mind not doing. Is it right? Like there like it's certain things, like if I could not clean, I'm fine with it. But then the wife is like, she ain't about to just clean this whole house by herself, but that, like I said, that goes with me, and within your relationship, like you said, he don't want to vacuum, so you make compromises. But let's say when my son was born, my wife was like, oh, she was doing everything for my son, like I wake up, I just get her the bottle and I'm going back to sleep. She the one that fed him. She did all this, and I wanted to do it, because I'm like, I want to be a part of that, but she's like, oh no, I'm doing this, and she wouldn't let me do it. So guess what? It's 3:30 in the morning. Here's the bottle. I'm going back to sleep then. If you don't want me to be a part of it, So out there, and there's men that enjoy, just coming home, and I could just come to the dinner table. I'm still getting the biggest piece of chicken because you gotta remember. So she's seen her grandparents. She's seen her grandparents do the traditional thing, so it's embedded in her. So when you see that, it's like, well, this is how I seen something be successful, especially, when y'all younger than me, but a lot of these grandparents were together for 40, 50 years, so they like, oh, this is successful. So I want to follow that lead because I want to be in a relationship where, okay, my grandmother did this for my grandfather and they married for 40 years until they, really had, death do us part. Where now some weddings I done seen get done within a year and all that. So that's probably what she sees, and it's like, it's helpful.
I actually thought about that. And my working theory right now is back in that time. I mean, you've seen those shows and where a lot of the marriages get, they're transactional, right? They're more like, okay, and it gets decided between the parents, like who their kids marry and whatnot. So there's less marriages out of love, but the environment back then was very much more transactional. And so for them to make it work, it was a partnership of a different sorts, where it's more of a business partnership, where it's like, okay, well, now that we're in this marriage, right, this is what we're going to do. The husband brings in the money, and this is what the wife is going to do. This is what the husband's going to do. And this is how we're going to raise the kids. And it's very like, it's a lot more business-like back then. And it worked. And it got us to where we are here today, where now we have much more freedom to choose who we want to marry based on our heart and how we want to have our relationships. And I feel like back then it was definitely something that was necessary and needed. It was kind of like the stepping stones to get the generations and the society to the place where it is now, to allow for people like us to decide how we want to have our relationships, and, you know, or even choose not to get married until we're in our 30s or something, you know. It's so different.
Yeah, go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, I was going to speak about that as well. Like back in the day, it was a lot was different. A lot was different. We can all say I saw grandpa take care of grandma this way. You know what I'm saying? But today you have a lot of females that are bosses, and you can't put a female in this cap and say, this is what you can do. I'm going to go to work, make all the money. You can't follow your dreams. You can't go get a job. You can't start a business because your job is to cook and clean. You know what I'm saying? A lot. And I have a daughter. I wouldn't dare want my daughter to believe that that's going to be her life. Like, you're going to grow up, a man's going to choose you, and you're just going to cook and clean the rest of your life. Like, you know, regardless of anything, regardless of how much money he's making and everything, it's like, to me, it's just ridiculous.
Right, I agree.
Hey, so, Vicki, I got a question. Being Vietnamese, is it different in their culture with the roles? Like, how can you explain, like, what's the gender roles within the Asian community?
Okay. I obviously can't say for the entire Asian community, but I can say what I
represent them all.
Yeah. Our friend Scuba would say that too. We have a friend who loves to, every time he sees Asian people, he'll be like, Vicki, you know them? I'm like, dude.
Wow.
And we have another friend who will be like, yo, like, my computer's not working. Can you get one of your cousins to fix it?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm still friends with these people. You guys know who you are. Anyways, so with the what I've seen is that my parents actually do fit into those roles, where my mom does all the cooking and the cleaning inside of the house, and my dad handles like the yard work, or like the more handyman stuff, like fixing the plumbing or whatever, and he does the finances. And so they did put themselves into roles. However, it was interesting because I actually had this conversation with Chad, because he said something about, oh, well, I'm surprised that your parents don't, like, you know, I wonder how your parents see our relationship. And I said, you know, they don't have a problem with like the way we handle our relationship. And I thought about it, and I realized the reason why is because it was the way I saw my parents together. It was more like they kind of were like, okay, what can we do to kind of make sure that we have everything handled in the best way possible? So it kind of, to me, seemed like, at least with my parents, more of a, okay, these are the traditional roles, but these are also like what is working for us. So that was kind of how it is. And I will say that with my like relatives, whenever we had like get-togethers with all the relatives, it was all the women who did all the cooking, and all of the men who would bring like the beer and, you know, like all that stuff.
Talking in the garage.
Yeah. You know, and so the women would be all in the kitchen cooking and cleaning, and that was kind of how the parties went. So yeah, those rules did stick with that generation, but I find it interesting because although Asians tend to be very conservative with a lot of things, I find it fascinating that those parents didn't try to like force or push those ideals onto the kids. So all of my cousins, they're all pretty well rounded, and they you know, kind of do whatever it is that they need to do in order to be functioning human beings, you know. And it wasn't like I need to get a girlfriend or a wife to like cook for me. And I think part of it is also because in the Asian culture, there's a huge stress on like making the kids handle housework. And so my brother and I, we both split in the housework we had to do. So he's very capable of cleaning up after himself and, you know, doing the dishes and whatnot, because that was part of the chores that we had to do. We had to learn that. So in the Asian culture, I think that the generation above us and the generation above that, there definitely were roles that were placed. but they weren't done in such a way where it's like, okay, this next generation has to do the same thing that we do. Instead, it was more like you got to learn, like the kids have to learn how to work for themselves. And so that kind of translated into boys and girls knowing how to cook and clean for themselves.
Yeah, I think forcing those gender roles on the youth to tell a little girl or a young man that you're going to work and take care of the family, that's your job. A little girl, you're going to cook and clean. Who's to say that when they get to the age where they start dating, that they're always going to have someone in their life? You may be single at a point in your life where you're living by yourself and you have to know how to cook and clean and work. So if you just force these beliefs on them and just say, oh, this is how it's going to be, and let's say they have a little couple of mango seasons where they're with someone and that's all they did, and then that split and now they're by themselves and they're like, oh shoot, I don't know how to cook, I don't know how to clean, I don't know how to go to work. I don't know. It's you have to
a lot of eating out, takeout, and dry cleaning.
Hamburger helper.
Yeah. But it's all in like building. Yeah, it's all in building confidence. Like I want my daughter to have more confidence than I did at her age now, so that she's ahead of the game. I want her to be able to walk into a room head held high with confidence, knowing that she can conquer anything, not just putting her in that, like I said, in that bubble. This is all you can do.
I think what I can notice is common among most parents for our generation is that the parents tend, generally speaking, not every parent, but generally speaking, they do tend to have this mentality of how can I make my child much more like qualified and competent and handle everything and have their life be better than mine was.
Right. Yeah, that's the goal.
Right.
That's definitely the goal.
So how do y'all feel about a man paying everything? Like, what are y'all thoughts on that? A man paying all the bills.
Vicki, you can go first, Vicki.
Let me hop in there real quick. So I'm gonna get this to go viral somewhere or another, because I keep bringing it up. Is I don't want to put a woman on scholarship. If y'all know what that means, it's giving them free room and board. Just like the athletes, get when they play sports in college. It's one thing. Like, so I got a few friends up in North Dakota. Hopefully y'all watching, where their woman, they on a full ride. But it's not a bad thing if you could do it like that. So let's take my situation. If I'm in a relationship and I'm making 3 times as much as my wife or something, I can't expect her to pay the bills. But I'm like, hey, I at that point I'm like, yo, I make more money than you, right? So if I'm making, let's give 60,000 and my wife is making 20,000. So I'm like, yo, together we making 80,000 right now for the year. Instead of just saying this is yours, this is mine. Look, come on, and then that goes for if I'm making 80 and she's making 80, or she's making 100. If we combine and do this together, it helps us, achieve what we want to achieve in life for us and our kid. So that's what I'm always big on. It's paying the bills. It's nothing. I could pay the bills. When I'm by myself, guess what? I got to pay the bills. If I get divorced today, guess what? This house still bills got to get paid. And alimony and child support might come along with it, but but yeah, that's the big thing, is like not doing the scholarship. They might could get a partial scholarship, but you still paying an electric bill or something.
Yeah. I feel like I said, they look back at what was being done back in the days and just brought it along. But now in today's society, like you were saying, it doesn't matter what I'm making or what you're making. We both contribute to help build each other up, because like I said, I'm not knocking anyone's point of view. If the guy has the bag to pay all the bills and he chooses to do that, then that's what he'll do, or whatever. But I feel like it's, how can I say it? Like the small little clip that I watched from the interview when the young lady was saying that she's not paying for anything. I don't know. I don't know how I felt about that. I felt like some sense of like cockiness. Like she was like saying like, you're the man, you're working, you're paying everything. So in my mind, what I got from that is, okay, she has to have a man that's able to pay all these bills, number one. So in my mind, it comes down to money, because if the man can't pay all the bills, she's not going to be with him. Right. So it's on to the next, who does have enough money to pay all the bills. I look at it like this. If you do get with someone at a young age, in your early 20s, you're both, you haven't figured out life yet. Neither one of you have figured out life yet. So how are you going to put that on a guy and tell him at the age of 22, 23 that all the bills are on you because you're the man? Like no one. I know when I was 23, I don't think I would have been able to do it. But it's like, what happened to working together, helping build each other up in your early 20s? Because for those who do get together at that young age, like I said, you haven't seen life yet. You haven't figured out stuff yet. You probably haven't bought a house together yet. You're still building credit and stuff. And to put that on one person, that's not fair.
I totally agree. Me personally, I can't sleep at night knowing a man is paying all my bills, because first of all, I was raised to be independent. Like, suppose I don't have a man, suppose, right, I'm by myself. Mm-hmm. I don't want a man to think that, like I need him to pay my bills. And nowadays, right, that's how these men are. They want to pay all your bills and then mistreat you. They think they can cheat on you. They think they can run over you. They think they can tell you what to do. And I'm just not with that. So like with me, it's just like, I'm not gonna sit there and allow a man to pay all my bills. Like, I'm gonna work, and I don't care what no man say. Like, oh baby, I'm gonna take care of you. No, boo. You can take care of me. Don't get me wrong. You can take care of me, but I'm still going to make my own money, and I'm still gonna, put in on the bills.
So I'm in a very unique position with this. All my life, I've always been the independent woman, and it was just natural for me. It just was how I was. It actually frustrated my parents when I was a teenager, because I was always like, I got to figure this out. I got to do it myself. And I was always uncomfortable with anyone paying anything for me. When I was living in New York, working as a lawyer, I was always like, no, let me pay, or let me split it. Like, you're not going to pay for this. Yeah. Fast forward to me moving to Austin, my life got just like, it just got changed in ways I couldn't even, my wildest imagination could not figure it out. And I'm now in a place where I'm in a transition between being a lawyer into being what my heart is trying to tell me to be, which is an intuition coach. And I happen to be very good at it. Now, going to the transition in the entrepreneur stage is a very awkward stage, because you go from, a job that everybody knows to trying to figure out what your heart is trying to say, and being an entrepreneur and trying to make your own clients instead of having a salary, right? And so that put me in a very weird position, but I was down for it. I was like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. In comes Chad, and he's like, down with it too. He's like, yeah, I support you, whatever you want to do. But then my debt started accruing while I was in this stage. And there was a time when he was like, you know what, I'm going to help you with this, because I got a good salary. I can help you with like certain things. So I'm going to help you. I'm going to pay for your groceries, and I got the house and whatever. I literally broke down and cried, because I'm not comfortable with that. But it was kind of like a barrier that I had to break through for myself. and receive help from somebody else, because we were understanding that we're trying to achieve both of our dreams together. So how can we achieve both of our dreams together? Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to like rely on him forever and be in a place where it's like he pays for everything for me. And I still do pay for some of my own things. It's just he's helping me out in the meantime, because my whole thing is this is not a permanent situation. So once I get my career going, once I get that going, I can make the money. And then maybe what we can do is we can shift things and help him achieve his dreams, or whatever I can do right now to help him achieve his dreams. But for me, it's all about the partnership. So the partnership might not look the same the whole way round, right? But as long as we're both trying to work into this partnership together and achieve what we need to achieve together, that's kind of how I've been seeing it. Now, I gotta say, like, while this is happening, I've had to go through a lot of my own fears and a lot of my own shit, because it's like, this is not easy for me to receive things from other people and have them paying for stuff for me. And then when time passed by, it made me more uncomfortable. And, you know, so I think that in my situation, I've come to understand that we got to look, like for me, I'm looking at things from a bigger perspective. Okay, this is my situation, but you know what? I'm not like gold digging, you know, I'm not like, I don't think that I'm on a scholarship, because the intention is he's trying to help me in the meantime. It's kind of like those marriages where, like, let's say somebody studies to become a PhD or a doctor, and like the other person takes care of the finances in the meantime while that person goes to school. That's kind of how I'm seeing like our situation right now. You know, like I'm not going to be like, once I make it or whatever, I'm gonna be like, all right, you're on your own, you know? And I also like thought it weird when they like the fact that they're married and his income is the family income, but her income is her income. Like for me, if I was married, I would be like, our income is our income, and we're going to jointly decide what we're going to do for our family and how we're going to both achieve the dreams that we have for each other together.
Right. And with your situation, it's totally understandable, because at the end of the day, like you said, he's helping you to get to the point that you're trying to do in your life. So it's not like you said, sitting around waiting for a handout or whatever. But being that y'all are partners and y'all are working together, he's helping you. Now later down the line, he might need, you know, you to scratch his back, and you're gonna have it. So it's not, your situation is perfectly understandable. So
Nah, Vicki, you on a partial scholarship.
My gosh. Oh my god.
And the rest, you just got to go fill out some grants, you know, try to get a grant or something. Maybe they're giving out Pell grants, you know, in relationships, something out there, you know.
I'm looking for all the handouts I can get.
Hey, but but I know you brought up the part that where she said her money is her money. But what I like what she said was her money now. She has 4 kids. Her money goes towards their scholarship or their college like fund, and then also family emergencies, not just their immediate family, but their extended family. If you know his brother, mother, or somebody, you know, it's an emergency. Her money that she got is building up, and she like boom. So in the end, her kids is gonna be able to go to college and not have to pay for it, which a lot of people would like, because that's what she's preparing for now too. So
Yeah, that's good.
It's not like she just taking money and just like, let me go get this Louis bag, this all these like designer clothes, taking these trips to Paris. And no, she's focusing on the future too, and then she's got that just in case of emergency, while also still, you know, splurging on herself, you know. But
Yeah, honestly, I mean, if it works out for them, then I'm all for it, right? Like, I feel like every couple has their own specific dynamic and the specific things that they need from each other. So, I mean, clearly this is what they've agreed upon, you know? And she said herself, like, they don't have any arguments. So if that's what works for them, I'm all for it, right? Because it's like, I don't think that there's one broad stroke that should apply to everybody.
Yeah, and Drea, if your husband like, hey, I got all these bills. My check now is good. At that point, he was like, yo, you ain't got to pay no more bills. But then at that point, that's when I think like, okay, if I'm not paying bills, now what are we doing with our money? Okay, our money gonna go in a vacation thing, or that's it. The husband is gonna, his checks go to the bills, my checks go to us having fun or us building investments or any of that stuff too. And we had an episode on the financial part with Aquila for our first season, and she talked about putting in, a vacation fund, like a vacation account or an account that her and her husband, they can't access it until like 20 years. So they just put money into it, so if one person's not if one person's not paying the bills, their check should just, go to those type of things, and
One of the things I did not agree with was the part when she said, if he wanted to go on a trip or if he wanted to do something, she was not like giving him her funds. Like I feel like, okay, well, he's taking care of the house.
go out there and earn it. You gotta, if you wanted to go to that trip, you gotta go make that money.
That's what she said. Like
Listen.
if he wanted to go on a trip or if he wanted to do anything, he need to prepare for that, to put in extra work or whatever to make that money to go on there, because he's not getting her money to go on the trip, but he give her money to go on the trip. Like,
Yeah, I was. For me, it was like you said. If it works for them, it works for them. For me, it was just the delivery of what she was saying. If that works for you, it works for you. But
How many women
to try
have you
to
put on scholarship there, Trevor?
well, my boy fly will fly on my give him first flight.
no scholarships. Me and my girl, we do things together. I've paid for full trips. She's paid for full trips. She needs something, I'm there. If I need something, she's there.
And,
Well, that's good.
and that's the way
I
it's
don't.
supposed to be.
Yeah, but yeah, for me, like you said, that's some of the stuff I disagree with as well. Like you say, that works for them, but the delivery of what you were saying was kind of just, for me. It was like if I, like you said, if I can do this for you, well how come when I need something, I can't get the same thing?
So I'm going to play devil's advocate on this. And I'm going to say that she did point out that she feels like she can do that because she is the emotional support for the entire family, and she does all the cooking and the cleaning and all of the household stuff for the entire family. So I think for her perspective is, I handle all of that stuff. I hold that burden, so you hold the financial burden. That was kind of how I understood what she was saying. Now, again, if that works for her, that works for her. For me, I just couldn't. I couldn't do
That's
that.
her choice, though. That's her choice to want to cook and clean. But that's totally separate from someone actually needing something. So just like you were saying, as far as making sure that your cup is full before you take care of someone else's. So if, let's say, she starts to emotionally drain herself from doing all this stuff, and he decides to flip the script on her and says, look, I'm sorry you're emotionally drained, but that's not my job to make sure you're okay emotionally. My job is to pay all the bills.
She actually would say in the podcast that if she wanted, she doesn't complain to him. You don't complain to the husband. That's what she said. And that you take it up with God. So if you have a problem, you take it up with God. I don't know what that means personally for her, like what that means when she takes it up with God. But it does sound like she has agreed that if she has any emotional problems, she's going to have to handle it herself, not with her husband.
Yes.
So how does that work with like, I thought it was all about communication. So if I feel a certain way and I can't tell you how I feel, like if you do something that I don't like, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you how I feel. I got to go take it up with God. How would you know next time?
Well, the thing about it is, she was saying it's different for men. So this only applies to women, is what she was saying. Like, she felt as if that men go through so much already when they go out that we should not stress them out. So one of my questions for her was, But what about us? What about when we go through stuff?
Mhm.
Oh, her answer to me was that we just need to like suck it up and be.
Basically, she was taught that she bring her problems to God. So when she's speaking to God, that's where it get get relief, and he'll answer any of the stuff she's dealing with is who she bring it to. She can't not bring it to her husband, so, and that's why she's like they don't argue or any of that stuff, so that's what.
I feel like we get things like Trevor said. Like, how do we communicate? Like, if I don't like something, what I'm just gonna go talk to God. God, I don't like this,
Yeah.
but my man gonna keep doing it. My
Right.
man gonna keep doing it, but all I'm gonna do is go
Yeah.
to God. God, I don't like this.
Right.
No.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, we can't say what exactly that looks like for her. I mean, if that works for her, then great. For me, I would need to communicate that, and say, hey, like I find myself exhausted, or I find myself worn out, or I find myself unhappy or disappointed, and here's why. And I've had plenty of those conversations with Chad, and he'll tell me, also what's going on with him. Because for us, it's important. One of the most important things for us is if we're both happy. We want each other to be fully happy.
Yeah.
And for us, that requires communicating a lot of things. And that includes things that we might complain about.
You got to put it out there on the table. Otherwise, you won't know.
Yeah. But, at the same time, though, like when there are things that also like bother us, and when we communicate about it and we find out, we really try to get to the depths of it, the root of it. So if it turns out like, hey, you're bothered by this by me, but like, it's not really me, maybe you've got some baggage from something else. Right. And so that's like, I guess that would be for us, like we're not religious, so we wouldn't call it taking it up with God, but it would more like we would kind of do some inner work and like, try to explore what it is, self-therapy or meditation or whatever it is that our baggage is, so that we don't bring that baggage. Now that it's come to light, we don't bring that baggage, continue it into the relationship. So sometimes we do our version of taking it up with God, and sometimes we need to communicate it with each other.
Right. That's all what it comes down to. You said what you said, but it all comes back to actually communicating with each other.
So we're gonna wrap it up, but just want to give each of y'all a final say on gender roles. And we'll start with you, Vicki. And like I said, we appreciate having y'all on the Don't Get Tricked podcast live for the first time, and definitely appreciate it. So Vicki, you could wrap it up with anything you want to say, promote any of that.
Well, thanks for having me on here. I really enjoyed it. I'm enjoying your podcast. I really enjoyed that last one. My role on gender roles is probably like screw gender roles, maybe. But
Right.
it's more about, people are people. So see each other as individuals and have that actual like conversation with each other, and actually like communicate and just see what each other's needs are, and have that human interaction, because that's what this life is all about.
Trevor?
I totally feel the same way. Everyone in my eyes should be equal. You're not going to go to work one day and then expect your male boss to put you in a bubble and say, go sit over there in that small desk, that small office. You're a female. You can never get to this level where I'm at. So don't put that same type of that same type of belief in your household.
Drea?
But whatever works for you works for you.
True.
Yeah, I was gonna say every relationship is different. Everybody got their own different ways. No relationship is alike, and whatever works for everyone, as long as it works for you and your household, then so be it. We could disagree. We can agree to disagree, and all day long. But like I said, we can't tell her how to do it in her household because that's working for her, and she can't tell us how to do it in our household. Everybody got their own different ways of running their family.
Yeah, and I'll be quick. My household is ran pretty well. I like it the way it is. Us helping each other out and building each other up. And like I said, I'm the better cook, so I'm gonna keep cooking.
It be like that, man.
But Yeah, so like I said, this is the Don't Get Tricked podcast. First, we want to thank Trevor and Vicky for being a part of our live edition. It was wonderful. We
Thank you.
thank everyone that tuned in and continue to be with us as we go along this journey. New episode will drop this Monday, and we try to do this wrap up or this extended conversation each week. You could catch us on. Our social media pages, LA the King 3, Mrs. Dot members. Uh, y'all want to shout out your social media pages? No?
But yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at clutchtime_627. Also have my entertainment Instagram. It's Say No More ENT. That's SAYNOMOE.
If you want to follow me on my social media pages, my Instagram and my business page are the same. It is Instagram.com/The Prosperity Phoenix or Facebook.com/The Prosperity Phoenix. And that is how you will find me on social media.
Yep. And then we got our Don't Get Tricked at Don't Get Tricked, IG. We also got our YouTube page. This will be up on our YouTube page later today. Continue to subscribe, like, comment, give us your feedback, and we appreciate all that we get from people. I know we get text messages from our friends that's watch it, but also put those feedbacks on the Facebook or our YouTube page. And once again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to the Don't Get Tricked podcast. It's your boy, Big Lee. And we
And
out.
bye.